More trades before the NBA draft. The Mavericks make a move that could mean another trade with the Lakers, and Kevin Durant plays general manager. Does it add pressure for him to win next season in Houston? That's all today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
I've slept like 18 hours in the last day. All the adrenaline from the season just evaporated from my body. And then I woke up to a flurry of text messages. Oh, by the way, the Celtics traded for Anfernee Simons. We're already off. Going to be one of them summers this year.
That's right. You can sleep in August. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, we've got Haize. Haize.
Sleep? What's that? You guys getting to sleep around this time of year? I wish I could sleep.
Okay, I have a baby. Celtics guard Jrue Holiday is going back to the Portland Trail Blazers in exchange for Anfernee Simons and 2 second-round picks. Let's go to Locked On Celtics and Locked On Blazers for analysis on both sides of the deal.
I'm not convinced that this is the final move, because according to Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe, says they like what he can bring to the roster, but added they will remain, quote, engaged on all fronts. Don't be photoshopping that Celtics jersey onto Simons just yet. This move doesn't get them close enough to the second apron. He's bad defensively, so that would be an issue. If they do intend on keeping him, the Celtics would probably need to at least start the season with Porzingis or shore up their center spot. Otherwise, this would be a much different kind of Celtics team.
If Jrue Holiday is the player he was in 2023-24, the Blazers got an awesome basketball player. If last year was the beginning of a decline for someone who's 35 years old, it becomes a little dicey. I think this is the best player you possibly could have traded and made in an Anfernee Simons trade.
Did this make sense for both sides, Matt, or do you like it for one team over another?
I was whelmed by this move. I was like, okay, sure. You know, if they ship out Simons and add some sort of piece, because the Celtics are always kind of shopping for those kind of big trades that aren't the stupid kind, right? Like they don't do Matt Ishbia trades. They do just like smart trades, picking up Jrue Holiday, Porzingis, etc. Big moves that we're all like, oh man, that's a really good move. This was not that. This was like all right. I mean, you shipped out Holiday. You didn't really fix your second apron problem. So what else are you going to do? But if they do keep Simons, he'll take a lot of threes. Maybe they think that he's got some upside with like being the kind of guy that at this point in his career is ready to take that big step forward once he's inside of a serious system like Boston's that gets so much out of its players. For the Blazers, I'm never going to think that adding Jrue Holiday is a bad idea. He's just such a good guy to have around the organization, the locker room, the team. It's not really about his encore play. It's about what he brings in terms of teaching the young guys and being a stabilizing force. Now, he's still able to contribute, but they, as Mike kind of said, they're like, the slide's already starting. Like he has slid. I'm not saying Drew's washed, but it's sprinkling or overhead over on Jrue Holiday Island. So it's fine for both teams, but I'm not like dramatically, I think, like, oh man, what a move, or awful. This wasn't a Suns move at all, Haize.
Yeah, I mean, the sun's getting real low here. I think that's when it comes to Jrue Holiday. But I got to go back to something John Corrales said. He said, don't start Photoshop. What era does John Corrales think we live in? The Photoshop jobs were done 5 minutes after the trade was announced. They're already out there. They're out there, John. You can't stop them. You can't take them back now. But this is a move where it's like, I think I get what's happening here. Like if the Blazers, they wanted to move on from Anfernee Simons, I do think they are a team that still is going to try to compete for a play-in spot this year. Adding Jrue as a veteran piece there makes sense. Anfernee Simons for the Boston Celtics does not make as much sense for me, just looking at how they like to play basketball. Besides him getting up a lot of threes, he doesn't bring very much defensively, but he is young. He's 26 years old, so you get younger on that front. Now, maybe they're going to look to flip him to do something here in the draft over the next couple coming days or something like that. I don't know. But I feel like the only weird thing about this trade for me is that Portland had to give up the 2 seconds for aging Jrue Holiday. It seemed a little weird to me, but outside of that, I take it at face value.
Well, does it signal that there's a little bit of an arms race going on in the West right now? We're still waiting on the San Antonio Spurs to make a move to upgrade around Wemby. You have Kevin Durant going to Houston. Everyone seems to be upgrading in the West in preparation for next season. Are we going to see teams continue to upgrade in the West to try to compete?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Haize. You go ahead, Haize.
Yeah, I this is just only begun in the Western Conference. Like you're talking about an arms race. I think every team in the Western Conference is going to make just about a impactful move. Some of that's going to be in the draft, but a lot of that's going to be trades. I think the Western Conference the arms race is on. Kevin Durant is now with the Rockets. The Thunder is still the Thunder. They can even still make a move. We're looking to consolidate their picks as they don't have a lot of open roster spots. But I think a lot of those teams, Sacramento is going to make a move. A lot of teams are going to be trying to make moves to kind of make their rosters make more sense, and some teams to try to compete with the Thunder.
I understand because people want to keep their jobs, and I get that. Having money is good. I just wish that the GMs could sell their ownership on a better kind of future plan here. You can't all make the playoffs. Not all of you can make the playoffs. 10 of you can make the play-in, great. But how many of you can make serious runs here, even with what we've seen out of the play-in teams? Like the Mavericks and the Kings should be looking at the Blazers stocking up and what could happen with the Pelicans and just be like, hey, so if we liquidate all of our veteran assets, we can get a haul right now because everybody thinks that they can win it now. And if you're Dallas, it's like we have the number one pick. We can like reshape this roster in a very Sam Presti way. And if you're the Kings, it's like, look, we can get a fresh start here with a young team, but you have to be that aggressive. And instead of just being like, no, we're going to go in there and we're going to fight for that 9 seed. Why? I don't get it. I'm not saying that you don't have good players. I'm saying you have to look around and be realistic about the kind of competition and how thin your margin of error is. If the Blazers are stocking up, we have one team in the Utah Jazz that's going to be bad next year, and that's it.
Well, I think this too, Matt, you got to play. Remember this though, like competing to try to make a go at it in the West, that could land you the number 1 overall pick with the way that it's been going with the lottery luck. So just keep trying to win. You may end up with a number 1 pick.
Fair point.
Well, let's shift it back to the Eastern Conference and talk about the Boston Celtics. Is this move for Anfernee Simons a signal that they are going to find a little window here to compete in what looks to be a weaker Eastern Conference until Jason Tatum is able to return, if he's able to return at all? Or should we look at intel like this from Michael Scotto, who says with Jrue Holiday to the Blazers for Simons in 2 seconds, the next Celtics trade candidates to monitor are KP, Sam Hauser, Derek White has drawn trade interest, but it'd take a massive haul to get him. Do you think they'll continue to move towards let's get into a better financial situation, even if it means shedding wins? Or Matt, do you think that this Simons deal is a signal that no, they're going to try to find a way to continue to compete?
I mean, I don't think they were ever going to like not compete. Right.
I should say compete seriously. Like we're going to go for the Cavs.
Okay. So I don't think they are really thinking maybe not that. Right. Because you would just be like, all right, if we can do that, you just keep the team together. The big thing here is the money is like you're trying to figure out ways to do all of it. They still got to shed the money. This is the biggest thing about the Simons deal where I was like, wait, they didn't get out of the apron. This is not enough here. Why do you trade Jrue if you're not getting out of the apron? And that's where this gets really interesting. But they got to shed money. They got to restock. They got to improve depth because you can't have a top heavy roster if you're going to send out these guys. These are all the kind of questions I think that you kind of have is how do you buy low on guys to get less money in, but better on-court output than expected out? You don't have to be better than last year, but better than expected. That's what I think is going to be fascinating by Brad Stevens and crew over the next couple of weeks.
Haize.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Eastern Conference, right? So it's like what? Well, not to say that they can compete for a title, but like if Brown's going to be healthy, you still have a lot of your core there. Yeah, you're probably going to get rid of Porzingis next. I mean, this is still a team that can still go on a first round, second round run in the playoffs, and that may be worth it to them rather than take a complete step back. Even though I think there's value in maybe taking a step back and getting a higher pick next year, but we'll see what Boston does.
All right, coming up on Locked On NBA, that was not the only deal that got done yesterday, and it could signal further deals, including with the Los Angeles Lakers, plus the NBA draft a day away. What are the Philadelphia 76ers going to do with their third overall selection? We'll hear from Locked On Sixers and Kevin Durant. We're getting more details about that trade and its implications. All of that ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder to yourself, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it is so easy to lose track of your funds. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center with all of your accounts, your investments, and your spending in one place. You can go beyond just managing your money and start actually building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on streaming services. They were piling up. Spoiler alert, it was a lot of money. Now, I budget smarter, I save more, I plan more for the long term. The best part is I don't have to use multiple apps. I just use Monarch to check my finances, track all my spending, and plan out those long-term goals. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Today's episode is also brought to you by OpenPhone. If you're running a business, every missed call could be a missed opportunity. Think about it. Last time you had a service emergency where you had to make a call, did you wait for someone to call you back? Probably not. That's why you need OpenPhone. It's the #1 business phone system that streamlines your customer communication and helps you scale all from an app on your phone or computer. I love that I don't need to carry two phones. With OpenPhone, I can manage all my business calls and my text from one app, whether I'm at my desk or I'm out on the go. And my favorite feature is the shared inbox, where my whole team can jump into a conversation without missing a beat. Plus, the AI call transcripts and summaries are game changers for staying on top of follow-ups and customer interactions. Right now, OpenPhone is offering our listeners 20% off your first 6 months. Just go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you're switching from another provider, they'll even port your number over for free. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. The Celtics and Blazers were not the only teams working yesterday. When Shams broke the news that the Mavericks had extended center Daniel Gafford, some saw it as a further commitment to a powerful big rotation. But once the full details came out, Locked On Lakers saw something very different.
When it first broke, Shams Charania at ESPN described it as a 3-year, $60 million extension. It turns out it was a 3-year deal worth about $54 million. $6-ish million is the difference between Gafford being ineligible to be traded for 6 months and eligible to be traded at any time.
This is, to me, Dallas signaling we want to trade Daniel Gafford. Let's say they're more interested in Nick Claxton, like you and I both happen to be. They can use the fact that Gafford is available to leverage in these negotiations with the Nets.
Haize, are Nico and Pelinka going to get at it again? Or are the Lakers better off pursuing someone like Nick Claxton or something else entirely?
If Nico does it again, if Nico makes another trade with the Los Angeles Lakers for the exact type of center that they want. Like at this point, when the Lakers do win a title, they might as well give Nico Harrison a ring, give him a mini statue for the best executive contributor to the title. I don't know what to say. Like it can't happen, right? Like it can't. Like, yes, go after Claxton, go do that, go pursue those type of players. Like, leave it alone, Nico. Don't do it. It's a trap. It's a trap. Please cue in the Star Wars meme. It's a trap.
That's
no.
a trap.
That's a drop. If I were a Mavericks fan, I would genuinely want Nico Harrison under surveillance 24/7. Like, I would want a former CIA operative, like, tailing everything, transactions, the whole bit, because it would just seem very odd here. I do think an interesting question here is what's an actual better fit for Luka, because Claxton's a rim runner who can pass. He's a little less explosive than Lively and doesn't have his 3-point upside, because Lively actually has a shot that might develop in time. But he's a little bit better fit there versus Gafford, who is just like more of a plug and play standard big. Like, I don't know how much I would rather have Gafford at this number rather than a free agency pickup on Clint Capella, who might be a lot cheaper. So to me, I think either possibility is kind of in play here. What doesn't make sense is you have Lively, you have AD, and you have Gaff. Why? I get having the center next to AD doesn't want to play it. I get it. Much of this just doesn't make sense. Like, there's just so much of this that doesn't make sense, which tells you that Nico Harrison is still in charge.
Let me ask you this though, Matt. Like, I get it that keeping Lively, Gafford, and AD while you're also adding Cooper Flag, it's like, okay, what's going to happen here? But is there some thought with the fact that AD does not want to play center at all?
Right.
And he's not always healthy. Like, Gafford and Lively haven't always been healthy either. Like, maybe it's just that to make sure that they have at least one of those guys available at all times. Maybe that's the play here. And then you can move them later down the road at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a smart way to do it. Is like, you've still got him. You can make a move if you want to at the deadline. I don't know what move that is necessarily, where it's like, again, Kyrie Irving's probably out for the year. Nothing about the Mavericks makes any sense. Nothing about them. At least the Suns, it's like, what are the Suns doing? Well, they're screwed. Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense the Suns are screwed. The Mavericks don't have to be screwed, but they're choosing to be screwed. And I wish them well in that endeavor.
Well, one thing that at least we think makes sense for the Mavericks is selecting Cooper Flag number 1 overall in the NBA draft. And it's one of the few things we can be sure about, because we're one sleep away from this NBA draft, and it promises to be unpredictable, particularly at the 3rd pick, where the Sixers will choose who to add to a roster built to contend right now. Locked on Sixers previews the dilemma in front of Sixers head decision maker Daryl Moreys.
If you're a GM that's going to take Ace Bailey, according to Brian Windhorst, you better be in good standing. In other words, you got to be pretty confident that you're going to be around for a minute, because A, he's a project. He's not just going to come in and all of a sudden be an all-star, that kind of thing. And B, you're going to be looking at a situation where it's going to take time to develop the player and also take time for his maturity.
Like, Windhorst, to me, again, is basically giving reasons why the 76ers shouldn't draft them. And if Daryl Morey does draft them, he could be in trouble. Like, your job is not safe by drafting this guy.
I want them to take the best possible player that's going to have the best possible NBA career. That's who I want them to take. I don't want Morey's situation factoring into it.
Matt, your thoughts. Is Daryl Morey's job on the line with this draft? And if it is, should they play it safe and take VJ Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, or Con Knipple, or over a guy like Ace Bailey that presents some risk? And are you with Mark there that could be sort of trouble for an organization trying to make the best decision?
I don't know that anybody's safe in Philly, but I don't necessarily know that Daryl's job rests on Ace Bailey, right? Like, they have backups here. Like, Jared McCain is going to come back and be absolutely terrific. They've got Quentin Grimes. Like, they've got outs here. So you can take the best prospect available and kind of see if he pops and if it works and if he's as good as he thinks he is, and then kind of evaluate from there. I continue to be like, look, if you are trying to compete right now with Embiid, Maxey, and potentially Paul George, you've got to go for a VJ Edgecombe. You just have to. You got to add a guy that is going to contribute right now to the things that you need, that isn't going to be worried about his contract or his future and trying to like win out battles and doing all this stuff. You don't want that. You want a guy that's just going to come in and be like, going to win games. Like, I'm going to help you win games. You want a very serious player, which Ace is not known to be. That's not like a bad thing. Ace can be like, have joy in his game and that work for him. But with where the Sixers are at, these are serious men trying a serious goals, getting paid serious money. And I think VJ fits a lot better within that construct.
I guess this is part of the petty side of me. Having a team with Ace Bailey and Jared McCain and their antics on social media would be hilarious to see how Philadelphia fans would react to that, especially the team starts losing. But I think that Bailey makes a lot of sense there if they decide to go that route. Like, the benefit of the 76ers and where they are as far as their ability to draft is that they could go either way. You can go Edgecombe, which does make a lot of sense to fit in with what you have, and to try to continue to win this thing, which apparently they're hoping last season was just a fluke, that they're going to be able to have much better success this year with pretty much most of the same core together. That, like, do that. Like, if it comes down to making the decision that you feel is best to win basketball games now, or do you want to plan towards the future? Maybe eventually if you do have to move on from Joel Embiid, which is something I've been talking about for a while. I think the 76ers are in the place where really either direction that they go on, it makes some sense. It just depends on what route they take.
Haize, aside from the Philadelphia 76ers, what team interests you most in terms of what they might do on draft night?
Ooh, that's the Thunder. I think the Thunder, and it's crazy to say that for a defending champion, but like, the Thunder have picks. They can move up and get just about anybody they want. And if they can add it, like if they get a Cedric Coward on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and if he ends up being what some people think that he could be, we're going to be talking about them for 10 years. So the Thunder are definitely one that interests me, but also I'm interested now for the Suns at number 10. Like, do they go point guard, which some have them going? Do they go center? I think either one kind of disrupt the team a little bit underneath them, but those are probably two teams I'm interested the most in, just to see what it means for the direction of their roster.
I'm interested up and down, like up and down. There's a real chance that the Hornets are going to get screwed here with a top 3 player draft and him having 4. But if they get lucky and one guy slips past to give them the kind of guy that's going to make the difference for them, that could be really interesting. The Wizards, everybody knows, like, I'm on the Wizards wagon for next season. I'm praying they don't take Ace Bailey, because that's not the type of player I want for a team that I think can win 30 plus games next season and make a major step forward. Even though that doesn't sound like much, it is for that squad. I really want to see that. They've also got contracts like Jordan Poole to move, so I'm very interested to see what the Wizards do. The Pelicans might be the most interesting one. Who's like, does Dumars like Ace Bailey? Does he not like Ace Bailey? Are they going to take a big? What are they going to do? Who are they going to keep? What are they going to move? Like, this Pelicans night, I think, is really fascinating. And then on top of that, you got a Brooklyn team that has 4 picks, doesn't want all of them. There's a lot of people that think that they are going to go to the Nets in terms of prospects, believe that they are going to go to the Nets more than they have picks for. I don't know what's going to happen, but it does sound like this is going to be a pretty, even if it's not insane, just a flurious night of action tomorrow night.
Flurious. I like that.
Flurry.
That's multiple.
Let's not forget too.
It's multiple flurries.
The Hornets. Gotta watch what the Hornets are going to do there.
Well, I think it's definitely interesting what Philadelphia does, but I think what's more interesting when you take into account all of the injuries in the Eastern Conference that are going to keep out star players possibly for the entire season, which one of these Eastern Conference teams, Brooklyn, Washington, which one of these teams gets most desperate and says, all right, we're going to push all of our chips in now and try to compete, and what the ramifications are for the draft. I have one more draft question for both of you that I want you to think about, which is, we've already seen a few moves. Kevin Durant stays out west. You've got Jrue Holiday moving west. Which top 50 player do you think is most likely to get moved at the NBA draft? Because we have been promised lots and lots of trades. So I want you to think about it. And we're also going to talk about Kevin Durant's more reporting around his involvement in moving himself from Phoenix to Houston. Stick around. That's ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports, they are in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, I love that, golf on the green, I love that too, or high-stakes soccer action, I love that too, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. It's easy to use. fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay or watching that bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it like you are a part of the action. New to FanDuel? Great news. New customers can bet just $5 and you get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Here's what you do. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. As promised, one more draft question. We'll talk more about the draft tomorrow, of course, but one more today, and that is, which top 50 player do you think is most likely to get moved at the draft at this point? Matt, we'll start with you.
This is a tough one, and I think I'll go with Jaylen Brown.
Whoa.
I think if you're looking at all of the types of things in play here, I just think I expected more pushback. I expected to hear a lot of like, they're not moving Jaylen Brown. The Jays are off the table. And that hasn't been the case. It was, well, no, like we'll listen to these offers. And if you're looking for a guy that could be your franchise leader, taking the number 2 on a championship team who won finals MVP, I think is a very, very solid approach. So if a team comes in and bowls over, this is a case where I think the deal could happen and we'd be like, can you believe what Boston got? Can you believe how much they got for Jaylen Brown? But like Jaylen Brown's excellent. Like he's awesome. He's really great. And he's the type of guy I could see a team making a move for to be able to take a huge step forward. So I'll say Jaylen Brown.
Are we still considering DeMar DeRozan a top 50 player in the NBA?
I'll allow it, but we are skirting the edge here.
Skirting it there.
He's
okay.
like teetering over the line there.
I mean, that's the mind that I went to because I do think that there are going to be teams that are interested. I think the Kings are clearly motivated to move him, and I think there are going to be some teams that need that scoring punch and maybe a veteran leadership that doesn't have a crazy contract that he could be there. But if not him, I'll say Darius Garland. Because hearing that the Cavs floated around Darius Garland for Kevin Durant, I think that there's a chance they could be still on the hunt to see if they can improve their roster. I think that there's a chance he may be moved this offseason, even though I think the Cavs should stay put, especially with the changes in the Eastern Conference. But apparently that may be a chance there.
DeMar DeRozan to Miami is like the most predictable and sad outcome that we're going to see. The king of the play-in tournament goes to the lords of the play-in tournament, and it's just going to be we're all gonna be like, thumbs up, cool, great guys.
Definitely winning the in-season tournament too, if that's the case.
Yeah.
The Memphis Grizzlies have a couple of top 50 players in Triple J and Ja Morant. Do you see them possibly making a move at the draft to pivot away from either of those players?
I don't. It sounds like everything I've heard is that they've done a lot to try and repair the relationship with Ja that got a little fractured this year. And then on top of that, everything I've heard is that they're clearing money to give Jaren the extension. So it just, look, you might hear a trade rumor about Jaren because anytime a guy is up for this type of extension, there is always the procedure of you go out and you see what you can get. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Memphis is building around Ja, Jaren, and Zach Edey.
I love the pain in your voice when you say that. Yeah, I don't think they're moving on from Triple J or Ja, not this offseason.
All right, I'll give you one. I'll throw one more out there. How about Bam Adebayo? The Ringer has him ranked 32 in the top, so he's in the top 50. Bam Adebayo moving on from the Heat. They've got to figure out a backup plan now that they've missed out on Kevin Durant. Could Bam Adebayo be part of that backup plan?
One of those offshore books put the Lakers as the team most likely for Bam Adebayo to wind up on, and I hate those things. They're promotional tools. They take no handle on it. You can't get any serious money down. It's not a liquid market, and it's not based on anything serious in terms of intel. I do not foresee them being willing. It would have to take it like it would take like the number 3 or number 2 pick. Like I would absolutely, if I was San Antonio, be like, number 2 for Bam. Let's go. Like we'll give you the number 2 pick and we'll send you Harrison Barnes and we get Bam Adebayo. and that gets the Heat to restart. They get a dynamic young guard who's very serious in Dylan Harper. That trade makes a world of sense. Bam and Victor, good God.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's probably going to happen. So
well, it's been look, we heard some initial things about San Antonio being in love with Dylan Harper and they weren't willing to move off the pick, and we really haven't heard anything since. So it could get very interesting, Haize.
I mean, Nico Harrison isn't running the show. You're one of those teams, so I doubt that's going to happen. But
all right, let's close. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just don't see Bam being moved. Go ahead, man.
No, I don't either. I'm just hoping against hope that Nico regains power and trades Cooper tomorrow night. It's just, please, come on.
Nico
Get back
trading
in power.
the number 1 overall pick will give us content for months.
He's a New Balance guy. You don't want him, Nico. Talk to your guy, Patrick.
You guys are sick. You're sick. All right, let's close the show talking about the big deal that did happen. Kevin Durant going to Houston. More details continue to be reported about the deal that sent Durant to the Rockets. Ime Udoka apparently was heavily involved in wanting to bring Kevin Durant to the team. Brian Windhorst on ESPN made it sound like Kevin Durant was orchestrating the deal and ensuring that the Rockets had enough pieces for him to compete for a title. Haize, is this a case of KD learning lessons from his move to Phoenix? Do you feel bad for Phoenix getting squeezed from both directions? When you hear all of these reports, where's your head at with this KD deal?
Listen, I don't feel bad for the Phoenix Suns at all. They knew they should have known what they were doing when they put that team together. Now you had to reap the results of that. So no, I don't feel bad for it. Yeah, I mean, listen, Kevin Durant is going to have his hands in where he goes. It just that we all knew that was going to happen. So I do think that KD learned from prior mistakes and things like that. I think that he had to. So I think that the Rockets, they took advantage of the situation as best they can. The Suns were in a desperate situation, and they took advantage of it. Now, I don't think the Suns are off as bad as some people are making it to be. I think once the number 10 pick is taken, a little bit of the view there is going to change a little bit depending on what they do. But I don't feel sorry for the Suns at all.
So I don't feel bad for the Suns because all of this stemmed from they apparently tried to move KD behind his back at the deadline. They didn't consult with him. They didn't talk with him. You can't do that, man. Like, you cannot do that. From a respect standpoint, he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. And he was this guy that everyone has so much respect for. You cannot do that to that guy. 2, you can't do it because he is smart enough, and Rich Kleiman, his agent, is smart enough to then manipulate the media against you and box you in like this. Hey, we're not going to Minnesota. I'm sure Minnesota's offer was way better. Let it be known. Hey, we're not interested. We have no interest in going to Minnesota. We have no interest in going to these other teams. And so that narrows your options, and that destroys your leverage. You got to navigate this. You want to know who navigated this stuff? Sam Presti. Paul George wanted to go home. Sam didn't try and ship Paul George out behind his back. And when Paul George came and said, hey, I'd like to go home, he said, no problem. We can work out something. And the Clippers had the assets to give them. Like, manage your relationships better is step number 1. You valued him so much to give up your entire future to get Kevin Durant, and then you tried to trade him behind his back. It was bad coming in. It's bad going out. Bad all around.
So I guess the lesson here is if you're going to stab someone in the back, it's best not to miss because then you have to deal with all of the ramifications that comes after that. So you both have put a lot on Phoenix. I would say that contrasts with what I'm seeing really across the spectrum of fandom and punditry that's still putting a lot of this on Kevin Durant, catching some expected criticism for moving to another team, forcing his way out, leaving the old team searching for answers. Matt, will there be pressure for him to deliver immediately in Houston, or do you think that everyone will view this as a 2-3 year championship window that's opening, or do they have to win next season?
No, like, everyone's waiting for him to win a title without Steph. Like, that's what everyone wants to see, is like, prove that you can win a title without Steph. If he can do it, it's going to fundamentally reshape a lot of the legacy talk about him. And he says he doesn't care about any of that stuff, and that's fair. I don't think he has to care about it. I don't really know. I have no idea what KD wants or cares about, but I will say that the narrative around him will only really shift if he's able to win a championship in a situation like this where he's clearly the guy. If he can do that, then it does change the conversation a little bit and rebalances back with how good he is, because we just have a huge gap between how good of a player he is and how good his teams have been outside of Golden State and OKC. And that creates, I think, a little bit of dissonance and a little bit of pressure and a little bit of distaste for how Durant has handled things, fair or not.
Yeah, I mean, the criticism is always going to be around Kevin Durant. Like, at this point, I don't think there's going to be anything that he can do to change that at this point. Like, he just has to go out there and win. I think that's the one thing, if you're looking for anything that can change, is going to be that. He has to now win with the Rockets. That's going to be the only thing that stops it. Otherwise, people are going to look at KD as an opportunist, which he is, and I do think to a certain degree he's earned that a little bit.
All right, let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks so much to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NBA Big Board Show. NBA draft expert Rafael Barlow is reacting to every workout, interview, and rumor leading up to the NBA draft, and it starts tomorrow. Find Locked On NBA Big Board on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Be kind to each other. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for more on Locked On NBA.